Have you ever wondered why, even when you've given your all, loved with sincerity, the man of your dreams still hasn't appeared? Or why, every time you meet someone who makes your heart race, things seem to end before they truly begin? If you're here right now, it's not because you're not good enough, not beautiful enough, or unworthy of love. It might simply be that you haven't yet discovered the 6 essential keys, the quiet secrets few people ever talk about, that can open the door to meeting the right person at the right time, and finding the love you truly deserve. Today, in this calm and gentle space, we'll walk this journey together. No rush, no pressure, just 2 souls sitting side by side, talking, and discovering how you can become the most beautiful version of yourself, and then love will arrive as something inevitable. Stay with me until the very end, because the final key might completely change the way you see love and the way love sees you. The first key: meeting yourself before you meet him. They say love appears when you stop looking. It sounds poetic, like something you'd read in a romantic novel or hear in an old song. But what if it isn't about stopping the search at all? What if it's about shifting how you search, and most importantly, who you are while you're searching? For so many people, love is imagined as an accident, a happy collision in the supermarket aisle, a shared glance on a train, or a dating profile that feels like fate. But the truth is, love is rarely a simple twist of luck. It is more often a reflection of where we are inside. The man of your dreams doesn't just find you. He meets the version of you that is ready to meet him. And readiness isn't about looking your best or rehearsing charming lines. It begins with something far quieter, far deeper: knowing yourself. When you truly know yourself, your values, your needs, the kind of life you want, you start attracting different kinds of connections. Without this awareness, love can feel like a repeating cycle. Meeting men who seem promising at first but leave you feeling unseen, drained, or confused. I want you to imagine your inner life as a mirror. If you stand in front of it carrying uncertainty about who you are, that is the reflection the world will see. The people you meet will often match that uncertainty. But if you stand in front of that same mirror rooted in self-understanding, clarity radiates outward, and clarity is magnetic. This isn't about creating a polished resume of your hobbies, your career, or your favorite coffee order. Those are surface details. Knowing yourself deeply means exploring your non-negotiable values, the principles you will not bend for love. It means understanding your emotional needs, how you feel respected, loved, and safe. It means being honest about your dreams, the kind of life you want to live, and whether a partner fits into that vision or not. Most of us are taught to list what we want in a partner: kind, funny, attractive. But how often do we ask, who am I in love? How do I show up? What do I bring? If you haven't asked yourself these questions, love becomes a guessing game, and the wrong guesses hurt. Here's the beautiful thing: when you have this kind of self-clarity, you stop confusing a spark of chemistry for true compatibility. You stop being dazzled by charm that hides emptiness. You stop chasing someone simply because they noticed you. Instead, you begin to notice yourself, your worth, your essence, and that awareness quietly tells the world, this is who I am, and I will not lose myself for anyone. Self-awareness carries a power that doesn't shout, yet people feel it. It's the calm presence of someone who knows they can sit at their own table without fear of being alone. This kind of self-love isn't arrogance. It's the steady acceptance that you are complete exactly as you are. And from that place, you invite a partner who doesn't come to complete you, but to walk beside you. If this sounds challenging, it's because it is. Facing yourself means meeting your shadows, the fears you've tucked away, the wounds you thought were gone, the doubts that whisper when you're alone. But you also meet your strengths, your beauty, your quiet resilience. So before you dream of meeting him, I invite you to meet you, not the version shaped to be liked, not the one edited for approval, but the one who lives in truth. This is the first key. And without it, the rest will crumble. With it, you create the strongest foundation love can stand on. In the next part, we'll explore the second key, one that sounds simple but can feel like the hardest act of courage: being fully yourself. Without the masks you've learned to wear. The second key: the courage to be fully yourself. The second key is simple to say, but often the hardest to live: be fully, unapologetically yourself. For many of us, this is where love quietly slips away. Not because we are unlovable, but because we have learned, often since childhood, to hide parts of who we are in order to be accepted. We show the pleasant parts, the agreeable parts, the easy to love parts, and tuck away everything we fear might scare someone off. But here's the truth: any love you gain while wearing a mask will never feel safe. You will always wonder, do they truly love me? Or the version I've performed? Being fully yourself means showing up without shrinking to fit into someone else's idea of you. It means letting your laughter be loud if it wants to be, speaking your mind even when it's different, and allowing your quiet moments to stay quiet without shame. Yes, some people will walk away when they see the real you. That is not a loss. That is grace. Because the ones who remain will not just accept you, they will recognize you. When you live in this truth, something shifts. You stop bending into shapes that don't fit you. You stop overthinking how to be interesting or desirable. You simply live in your own skin, and that ease is magnetic. The second key is not about being perfect. It's about being honest. And in love, honesty is the soil where real intimacy grows. The third key: heal what love cannot fix. The third key is one most people hope they can skip, but skipping it is why so many love stories end before they can truly begin. It is this: heal the wounds that love alone cannot heal. Some of us carry silent bruises from the past, heartbreaks that left us doubting our worth, betrayals that made us question trust, childhood moments where love felt conditional or unsafe. We think that if we just find the right person, these old aches will disappear. But unhealed wounds have a way of whispering into new relationships. They whisper in the form of jealousy, even when there's no reason. In the form of mistrust, even when your partner has done nothing wrong. In the form of needing constant reassurance, because deep down, you still fear being left. No matter how loving someone is, they cannot fill the gaps we refuse to tend ourselves. It is not their job to carry the weight of pain they didn't cause. And when we ask them to, love becomes a burden instead of a gift. Healing doesn't mean erasing the past or pretending it didn't hurt. It means turning toward it with compassion, giving yourself the care you once needed but didn't receive. It's therapy, journaling, prayer, or simply the daily practice of speaking to yourself with kindness instead of criticism. When you begin to heal, you notice something remarkable. Love feels lighter. You no longer cling out of fear. You no longer sabotage the good because you're bracing for the bad. You can stand whole beside someone else, without needing them to mend what is not theirs to mend. The third key is about taking responsibility for your inner world. Because the truth is, a healthy love cannot grow in the soil of unhealed pain. But when you tend to that soil, you create a place where love can root deeply and last. The fourth key: live a life that love can walk into. The fourth key is this: create a life so full, so alive, and so true to you, that love feels like a beautiful addition, not a desperate rescue. It's easy to believe that the missing piece in life is a partner, that once you meet him, everything else will fall into place. The evenings will feel less lonely. The weekends will feel less empty. The future will feel less uncertain. But this mindset quietly places your happiness in someone else's hands, someone who may not even be in your life yet. Here's the truth that changes everything. Love arrives most naturally when it is stepping into a life that is already rich in meaning, joy, and purpose. When you are living fully, you are not waiting for someone to start. your life, you are inviting them to join a life that is already in motion. Think of your life as a home. If your home is empty, dim, and neglected, you might imagine that a partner will arrive and decorate it for you, filling it with warmth, light, and laughter. But what if instead, you began to make that home beautiful now? What if you filled it with things that make you feel alive, passions, friendships, experiences, and quiet rituals that bring you peace? When you live this way, you stop searching for someone to complete you. You start looking for someone who matches you, someone who is also building their own home of joy and meaning, and who wants to merge it with yours. Why this matters so much? Relationships born from emptiness often turn into relationships of dependency. If your sense of purpose and happiness rests entirely on another person, you risk placing an impossible weight on them. And when they inevitably can't carry it, cracks begin to form. But when you have a life that nourishes you, work that excites you, hobbies that inspire you, friendships that sustain you, you come into love already whole. You're not asking for rescue, you're offering companionship. That shift alone changes the kind of partner you attract. People can feel the difference between someone who is looking for love to fill a void, and someone who is looking for love to share their abundance. The first feels heavy, the second feels magnetic. How to build a life love can walk into. 1. Reconnect with your passions. Ask yourself, what activities make you lose track of time? What did you love as a child? Before the world told you to be practical, bring those things back. Paint, dance, write, hike, cook, whatever lights you up from within. These passions not only make your life richer, they make you more alive in the eyes of others. 2. Deepen your friendships. Strong friendships are the scaffolding of a joyful life. They remind you that connection comes in many forms, not just romantic. Invest time in nurturing these bonds. Share meals, go on adventures, or simply sit together in comfortable silence. When your need for emotional closeness is met in healthy, platonic ways, you approach romance without desperation. 3. Create personal rituals. Rituals are small acts that anchor you to yourself. Morning tea on the balcony, evening walks at sunset, journaling before bed. These rhythms not only bring peace but also make your life feel stable and grounded, something a partner can step into without feeling they have to fix it. 4. Expand your horizons. Try new things even if you're bad at them. Take a pottery class, learn a new language, travel to a place you've never been. When you engage with the world, you naturally cross paths with people who share your curiosity and zest for life. The quiet confidence this brings. When your life is already full, you stop fearing the idea of being single. You realize that your joy is not on pause, waiting for someone else to press play. This creates a quiet confidence that others can sense, a kind of self-possession that says, I am whole, and I choose love from abundance, not from lack. This confidence is deeply attractive, because it reassures a potential partner that you will not lose yourself in the relationship. Instead, you will continue to grow, bringing new experiences and energy into the shared life you build together. A story to remember. I once knew a woman who longed deeply for love. For years, her life revolved around the search, endless dating apps, waiting for texts, adjusting her weekends in case someone special wanted to see her. She often felt drained, because so much of her energy went into hoping and waiting. Then, one day, she decided to stop making her life a waiting room. She joined a hiking group. She started a weekend photography project. She signed up for a cooking class. She decorated her apartment the way she'd always dreamed, instead of thinking she'd wait until she had someone to share it with. Within a year, she had a calendar full of things she loved, new friends who cherished her, and a home that felt warm and alive. And it was in that cooking class, laughing over a batch of burnt bread, that she met the man who would later become her husband. It wasn't magic, it was alignment. She had built a life worth sharing, and when love walked in, it fit perfectly. The heart of the fourth key. Living a life that love can walk into is not about being busy for the sake of distraction. It's about being engaged with your own soul, with the world around you, with the things that make you come alive. When you do this, love is no longer something you chase. It becomes something that finds you along the way. You'll meet people not because you're searching desperately, but because you're moving through life in a way that naturally brings you into connection with others. And here's the most beautiful part: if love hasn't arrived yet, you are still living fully. Your days are still rich. Your heart is still nourished. You're not waiting for happiness to begin, you are already in it. If you live this key, you'll never feel like your life is on hold until someone shows up. You'll be too busy living, too busy loving your own life, to notice the waiting at all. And in that space of fullness, love often arrives quietly, like it has been walking beside you all along, simply waiting for you to look over and see it. The fifth key. Learn the language of boundaries. The fifth key to finding the right love and keeping it is this: honor yourself with boundaries that protect your heart without closing it. Many of us have been taught that love means giving without limits, saying yes even when we mean no, and proving our devotion by how much we can endure. We think, if I love them enough, they'll stay. If I give them everything, they'll value me. But here's the quiet truth: love without boundaries isn't love, it's surrendering yourself in the hope of being chosen. And every time you cross your own limits to keep someone else comfortable, you teach them that your needs are negotiable. Why boundaries matter in love. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are doors that open and close with intention. They tell the world, this is where I end and you begin. This is how I can love you without losing myself. Without boundaries, relationships can slip into imbalance. You may find yourself giving far more than you receive, tolerating behaviors that leave you anxious or hurt, or abandoning your own goals to fit into someone else's vision. Over time, resentment grows quietly at first, then loud enough to drown out the love. With boundaries, love becomes safer. You are able to stay open without being overrun. You can care deeply without being consumed. And you allow the other person the dignity of knowing what truly matters to you. Signs you need stronger boundaries. You often feel drained after spending time with someone you love. You say yes when you want to say no, just to avoid conflict. You tolerate disrespect or broken promises because you fear losing the person. You neglect your own needs and passions to keep the relationship afloat. You find yourself walking on eggshells, afraid to express your feelings. If any of these feel familiar, your heart is asking for protection, not from love itself, but from the patterns that erode it. How to set boundaries without fear. 1. Get clear on your non-negotiables. What do you need to feel safe, respected, and valued in a relationship? This might include how you handle conflict, how much time you spend together, or how you share responsibilities. Write them down. These are not demands, they are your compass. 2. Communicate early and calmly. Boundaries are most effective when shared early, before resentment has a chance to grow. Speak in I statements. I need time to recharge after work, instead of you're too demanding. This keeps the focus on your needs, not the other person's flaws. 3. Hold the line consistently. A boundary is only as strong as your willingness to uphold it. If you say, I won't tolerate yelling, but then excuse it repeatedly, you're teaching that the boundary is flexible. Respecting your own word builds self-trust and shows others you mean what you say. 4. Release the fear of rejection. This is the hardest part. Some people will walk away when you assert your boundaries. Let them. Anyone who leaves because you protected your well-being was never going to stay in a healthy way. The beauty boundaries bring. When you live with boundaries, you begin to notice something profound. love feels lighter. You are no longer tangled in constant overthinking, am I doing enough? Will they still want me if I say no? Instead, you can relax into the relationship, knowing that you are safe within it. Boundaries also create deeper respect. People tend to value what has edges, what they know they cannot take for granted. In love, this respect becomes the soil where trust and attraction can flourish side by side. A small story. I once spoke to a woman who had been in a long-term relationship where she said yes to everything: dinners she didn't want to attend, favors she didn't have the energy for, conversations she wasn't ready to have. She thought this was love. But over the years, she felt invisible in her own life. When she finally began setting small boundaries, like asking for quiet time after work and saying no to events when she was tired, she expected her partner to be angry. Instead, he surprised her. He began to listen more. He asked what she needed. And for the first time in years, she felt seen. Her fear had been that boundaries would push him away. In reality, they brought him closer because now he was loving the real her, not the version who existed only to please. Boundaries are an invitation. Some see boundaries as cold, as if they push people out. But the opposite is true. They're an invitation to love you better. They say, here is the map to my heart. If you follow it, you will always know the way to me. They also protect you from losing yourself, because the moment you disappear inside a relationship, you stop bringing your full self to it. And love cannot survive when one person fades away. The heart of the fifth key. Learning the language of boundaries is learning the language of self-respect. It is understanding that the right person will not be afraid of your edges, they will be grateful for them. Boundaries are not just for your safety, they are for the health of the love you are building. When you honor yourself in this way, you send a quiet message to the universe. I will not trade my peace for companionship. I will not trade my truth for approval. And in that space of clarity, you attract those who are ready to meet you in the same truth. If you live this key, you will no longer fear that loving someone means losing yourself. Instead, you will know that the love worth keeping will not just accept your boundaries, it will thrive because of them. The final key. Love yourself the way you wish to be loved. The sixth and final key is the thread that weaves all the others together. Become the person you've been searching for. We often spend years imagining the partner we want: someone who is kind, patient, trustworthy, passionate, and steady. But here's the secret. When you begin to treat yourself with the same qualities you hope to find in another, you not only raise your standard, you start to attract love that matches it. Love yourself enough to speak to yourself with kindness. Love yourself enough to rest when you're tired. Love yourself enough to walk away from what wounds you, no matter how much you wanted it to work. Love yourself enough to believe you are already worthy, even before anyone else sees it. Because in the end, the love you give to yourself is the blueprint for the love you'll allow from others. If you remember only one thing from this entire journey, let it be this: the right love is not something you chase, it's something you meet along the way. While you are living, healing, and becoming whole. When you hold yourself with tenderness, when you protect your peace, when you fill your life with meaning, love cannot help but find you. And when it does, it will feel like coming home, not because it completes you, but because it recognizes the completeness you already carry. If this message touched your heart, let's keep walking this path together. Subscribe to Whisper to Heal for more gentle truths, deep reflections, and the reminders your soul has been waiting to hear. Your healing matters, your heart matters, and here, you will never walk alone.